guys, this is Sarah Zastrow coming to you live from Lehman's Green Apple Bar. Here I am reading to Flat Lily, and we are reading Cinderella and the Little Glass Slipper. Cinderella and the Little Glass Slipper. Once upon a time, on a farm far away, there lived a farmer and his kind, beautiful daughter. The farmer's wife had died years before, and he raised his daughters by himself. Eventually, he married a woman, and she had two daughters of her own. From the very start, the stepmother and her girls were mean to the farmer's daughter and made her do most of the chores. She cleaned the pig pens and milked the cows while they had fun picking apples in the orchard. Notice we're in an orchard? Every night, the wicked stepmother and her two daughters brought their apples to the farmer's daughter and demanded she make them apple cider. Soon they started calling her Cinderella. They did not realize that Cinderella loved making apple cider. In fact, Cinderella's happiest moments were when she was working the cider mill and dreaming about the day when she would be surrounded by kind people. One day, the handsome and oh-so-nice prince invited all of the townspeople to a fall harvest festival at the palace. Cinderella's stepsisters wanted to impress the prince, so they ordered Cinderella to braid their hair and help them get dressed. As always, Cinderella smiled and agreed. They also insisted she prepare a huge batch of apple cider for them to take to the prince, which she did without hesitation. Cinderella asked her stepsisters if she could go to the festival with them. "You don't deserve to go to the festival," they cruelly crackled. "You must stay home and do chores." And with that, the two stepsisters departed for the palace, and Cinderella ran upstairs crying. Cinderella collapsed on the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. Suddenly, a fairy godmother magically appeared. "What is the matter, dear one?" she asked. "I would love to go to the festival," Cinderella replied, "but my stepsisters told me I don't deserve to go." "My sweet, you are such a kind and caring young woman. You most certainly deserve to go to the fall harvest festival," said the fairy godmother. "I will help you. Please go to the orchard and fetch me an apple." When Cinderella offered the apple to the fairy godmother, she waved her wand and turned it into a beautiful carriage. "Next, I'll need 6 pigs, a cow, and a milk bucket," said the fairy godmother. Moments later, she waved her wand, and those 6 pigs became brilliant white horses. The cow, a handsome coachman, and the milk bucket became a golden chair inside the apple carriage. Finally, the fairy godmother pointed her wand at Cinderella and turned her raggedy clothes into a magnificent dress. She presented Cinderella with a sparkling glass sipping cup to take to the festival. As Cinderella stepped into the carriage, the fairy godmother warned her, "No matter what happens, Cinderella, you must promise me that you will leave the palace before midnight." Cinderella promised and then headed off to the festival. As soon as Cinderella arrived, everyone turned to admire her beauty. Everyone, including Cinderella's stepsisters, who did not recognize her, and the prince himself. The prince invited Cinderella to accompany him on a hayride through the royal orchard. They stopped along the way to pick apples. After their hayride, they listened to music and danced together for hours. As the sun was setting, Cinderella and the prince sat down for dinner. The prince told Cinderella that he loved fresh apple cider. When her evil stepsisters were not looking, Cinderella filled her sipping cup with some of the cider she had prepared earlier that day. She brought the glass sipper back to the prince and told him that she made the cider herself. The prince took one sip and declared it the most delicious cider he had ever tasted. When he held up the glass sipper to the sky, a rich and amber gold spread across the room. Rich and amber glow spread across the room. Cinderella and the prince enjoyed their evening so much that she lost track of time. As soon as she heard the clock strike midnight, Cinderella remembered her promise to the fairy godmother. She ran outside so quickly that she left her glass sipper, but she was too late. She watched her couch shrink down into an apple, her brilliant white horses turn into pigs, her handsome coachman become a cow, and her golden chair transformed into a milk bucket. Embarrassed, Cinderella scurried home wearing nothing but rags. The next morning, Cinderella's stepsisters told her all about the fall harvest festival and the beautiful woman who'd spent the entire evening with the prince. They told her that after this woman left, the prince had declared his love for her and sworn that he would travel near and far until he found her. That day, the prince set out for Cinderella's empty glass sipper and to visit every cider maker in the land. He knew that if he could find the delicious cider that he had tasted the night before, he would find his true love. When the prince arrived at their home at sundown, Cinderella's stepsisters greeted him at the door and filled his sipper with cider. The prince tasted the cider and and knew that this was the same delicious cider his true love had given him the night before. However, he did not recognize either of the two stepsisters, so he asked them to take him to the cider mill to show him how they made the cider. The prince watched both stepsisters struggle to make cider. Could one of them be his beloved? He didn't think so. Then Cinderella appeared effortlessly preparing some fresh cider. As she poured it into the glass sipper, he was delighted to see the same glow as the night before. The prince was overjoyed to have found his beloved. Soon the two were married in a royal wedding. Cinderella taught the prince how to make cider, and every fall they hosted a festival where the townspeople ate farm-fresh treats and drank apple cider. And they sipped happily ever after. The end. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed our story here, Cinderella and the Little Glass Sipper. I hope you come to the apple orchard and you enjoy all of the wonderful things that Michigan agriculture has to offer.